Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our Yellowjackets Season 3, Episode 10 reaction and review. Like the closing lyric said, we're living on the edge here. That's obviously a motto that I take with me in every part of my life. I'm such an obvious thrill seeker here. No, we've made it to the end of this season. How's everybody doing? Let's have a little bit of a mental check-in here.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, there was some stuff that, we've all been talking about this season that did come out in this episode. The thing that I'm the most happy about was that ending with Shauna. Her just going full Walter White and being like, I do it because I like it. Finally, it has finally come out that this is what the real is for her, and she is just full Breaking Bad here. It was great to see her own that going forward into the next seasons, and I was really happy that we actually just have who is the Antler Queen, who is Pit Girl, wrapped up. You guys dragged this out for 3 seasons. It needed to get wrapped, and it got wrapped.
Okay, here's my general feeling of this finale, and obviously we're going to dive so much more into it. Final 10 minutes of it, phenomenal. Maybe one of the best 10-minute stretches that Yellowjackets has ever done. First 50 minutes, okay, here's the thing. I'm glad that we have the Antler Queen mystery wrapped up. I'm glad that we had the Pit Girl mystery wrapped up. However, at the same time, we could have just taken the last 2 seasons and just thrown them out the nearest window, because basically 90% of the fandom's first guesses on both of these were correct, and all of the other theories, I'm just sitting back and being like, we went through all of this for Pit Girl, for it to just be Mari, the person who felt like obviously had to be Pit Girl by process of elimination.
She made the most sense. Absolutely. Throughout the seasons, most of us thought that it was just going to end up being Mari, but I will say that talking with all of you guys and us chatting together about who could it be? Could it be Callie in the future? Could it be Jen? Some of you out there thought maybe Hannah. I'm like, these theories were so much fun to talk about. So even though it ended up being who I think most of us figured it probably would be, the theory discussion was a 10 out of 10.
This really is the real Pit Girl, was the friends we made along the way.
It really is.
And it's the same way with the Antler Queen, where it's like, okay, yeah, it must be Shauna. She's the main cat. It's like, okay, of course.
Yes.
But I mean, I will say the build up to it was pretty cool. It was, the reveals themselves in that way were a little bit deflating to me, just because I wanted the bigger, more crazier outcome, and I wanted the most dramatic twist possible. But what they did, yeah, it made sense for the story. I do still have a lot of big question marks about the future based on how this episode ended. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. But we're going to get a lot more into that. Before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because, yeah, I know Yellowjackets is over for the season. We're sad about it, too. But you know what? We have so much going on here. Like, in the midst of talking about Yellowjackets, the Black Mirror Season 7 launch is upon us. We are talking about all of those episodes. There are some really good ones this season. There's some fun discussions to be had there. But also this weekend, The Last of Us Season 2 is finally back after a really, really long wait. And we're going to be here with reviews, previews, and theories for that show all season long.
Also, The Handmaid's Tale just kicked off, and we're going to be doing reviews coming up for Dexter Resurrection. That's going to be coming up soon. Alien Earth. There's all kinds of great stuff here at the channel. So hit that subscribe button and stick with us for more theory discussions and reviews. Also, follow us over on our Patreon. It's a great way to chat with us more about the shows that we cover here at the channel. And exclusively over there, we're covering The Pit right now, which is wrapping up over on Max. Bosch Legacy, which is on Prime Video. And we're about to have a poll on which shows we are going to be doing exclusively over on our Patreon next, where our Patreons get to vote on those and tell us what to cover. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. We really, really appreciate that.
Okay, let's stick with Pit Girl and Antler Queen. So with Pit Girl, I feel like they mostly were able to stick with what they originally had. I went back and rewatched the original Pit Girl scene, and it was a lot darker than it is
Yeah.
here. I'll let that go because everything else they got pretty much on point,
Yeah.
down to the pink sneakers. And we finally figured out who that person was. Nobody really knew. Everyone was making guesses. This person, that person,
Yeah.
whatever. It was Van. That was the person in the pink sneakers that was looking over the pit at Mari.
Yeah, it's good to at least have some element of answers on all of that. Yeah, I'm willing to let the darkness part of it slide a little bit too, just because we've talked about this. They never really thought that Pit Girl was going to be as big a thing as it turned out to be. And I will say, sticking to their guns in a way and not trying to make this more elaborate than what it was for them, it's a bold choice. But I think what made the entire Pit Girl sequence work, at least to me, is that, yeah, at first I was like, okay, Mari's going to be the target. We're about to watch Mari. And I was kind of like, oh, womp womp with this. But then we start to see the whole sequence going, and you've got that action element that is really fun, where you're kind of sitting back and being like, okay, when's she going to fall into the pit? Is it now? Is it now? Is it now? But then it ended up being sort of looped into everything that was going on with this big Natalie reveal at the end of the episode. And there was this kind of plan going concurrently. Like, that was an excellent bait and switch, where it's like it was never really about Pit Girl, and it was always about what was going on at the same time as everything with Pit Girl.
There was a lot of people that had different agendas with this hunt. Like, with it coming out that Aquila actually took out all the animals so that they would actually be able to sit there and be like, we need to have another hunt. It has to be one of us. And I was just like, Coach Ben was one of you guys. I know he didn't, partake in the eating, but he was also a Yellowjacket. So what are you talking about? But okay, fine. It has to be one of you guys. So you guys have to have this next hunt. Everybody had different agendas, even down to who's picking the cards, where Van is like, okay, I do know how to do it, that I can slide the card in at the right spot. So, okay, we'll just target Hannah. She's not really one of us. She's not one of our friends. Yeah, she's partaken in eating of Cody seemingly.
Yeah.
But she's not actually a Yellowjacket. So she's not our friend. So we'll just do it that this is how it goes. Shauna's able to figure it out, changes the order, and bam, Mari, you got the bad card. But once it started taking off, where it was like Lottie had her own agenda, where she's out in this cave praying, and Aquila's out there being basically like, this is all BS. I don't feel that great about this anymore. You have Natalie and her crew trying to get to the phone to get to the top of the mountain as a big distraction. You have Jen even in there being like, hey, I need you, Ty, to come with me down to the river. And her just being like, Mari's my friend. And I just want to give her a better chance to get away. Everybody had a different agenda, except mostly Shauna, who's just like, I'm gonna eat you and I'm gonna wear your hair.
Okay, Shauna, there's so many things I want to say about Shauna, but I don't even know where to start in the midst of all of this. But yeah, it was really chaotic. And I mean, we can argue as to whether or not it was too chaotic. Was there so many things going on that it was hard to focus?
No, it was great.
I know. Well, that's the thing. When I was watching it, I was like, okay, there's too much going on. But then after I was watching it, I was like, you know what? You guys actually did do the right thing here, because it helped to kind of disguise what was actually going on with Natalie. Because if this was a little bit more straightforward, I would have probably had a harder time buying that they were able to get away with all of this. Because, yeah, I know everybody has on masks and all of that, but they've been around each other for so much time that you can kind of pick up on physical mannerisms, all sorts of little things. But because there was such a messy situation, nobody really had the time to sort of sit back and think about and put stock into who was where and who was doing what and why.
Yeah. I loved the switch of Natalie and Hannah, where Hannah was just like, what we all thought.
Yeah.
I felt like I had no choice but to kill Cody, because if I didn't kill him, Shauna was going to just kill us both. I had to prove my loyalty. It was the only way I'm able to survive. I need to get out of here. I am on the same team as you. Let's get out of here. We'll switch clothes. You're able to get away. I'll pretend that I'm you. Get us help.
Yeah, that was effective. But really, the thing that was most effective, that final final scene with Natalie, whether it's just the way it was shot, Sophie Thatcher's choices, the music,
Yeah.
everything just came together. And this doesn't happen with me all that much, but there are very few finales where in the final seconds I'm just sitting here being like, yeah, and I was so pumped. It's like I even know they get rescued. It's not like this is some sort
I
of
know.
moment of like great mystery to me, but I was just so excited for that version of the character who's been through so much, and it's so sad that Natalie is dead in the present because I was just so happy for her.
I know. And I mean, it feels very much like this is going to be the way that they get rescued. And it makes the most sense
Yeah.
because they have all said that if it wasn't for Natalie, they wouldn't have gotten rescued. And it makes sense then that her and Misty are able to not reconcile by any means of what Misty did with the black box, which is always going to be the worst thing that's happened on this show, and a lot of terrible things have happened. But it then them coming together to work on this together to make it that Natalie is able to get the rescue. I believe that that is why Misty felt like her and Natalie were besties, that together they were able to fix the problem she created.
And it's ironic given that, Natalie has partaken in a lot of these yellow jacket rituals and all of that. And yet, like, her treatment of Misty and the fact that she's able to put a lot of really understandable anger to the side for the purpose of achieving this
Yes.
goal. You are probably the most mature person out of anybody that is out there. And, I'm even including Coach Ben when Coach Ben was alive in this because it takes a lot of emotional maturity in this world that has so much carnage that you're like, okay, Natalie, think of the bigger picture. What do I really want? I really want to be rescued. I was just breaking down about it. I'm going to find a way to use this, to use Misty, to trust in Misty, to not have everything get out so that everybody finds out about it, and to have that be effective. Man, was it cool.
Okay, that whole last scene where she heard the guy's voice on the other end being like, I hear you.
Yeah.
For all of you From fans out
I
there,
know
did
it.
anybody else out there get a little bit concerned that the person on the other end might not be exactly who they say they are? I think I've just watched too many of these types of shows where the minute that I heard that, I was like, uh-oh, Jim?
Okay. That wasn't in my head, but it's in it now. Now I'm going to be thinking season 4 is going to be some dude wandering around with a yellow suit on, and I'm going to be really, really worried. No, I think there is still a chance that something bad is going to happen before they get rescued, because I'll put on my beef hat with this right now, because
Okay.
this is probably one of the bigger things I'm struggling with in the aftermath of this finale is just that, yeah, the rescue call has been made. It's been heard. I mean, we still have to wait and see when all of that actually happens, but it is just this situation. There are so many questions about the wilderness that we don't still have answers to,
Yep.
where I'm sitting back and being like, okay, who is Cabin Guy? Who is Javi's friend? Is there ever going to be answers as to how the cabin came about? What's with the symbols? There are still so many things that it's just like, if you guys rush this rescue happens in the season 4 premiere, we don't ever understand any of this. Like, I'm going to be pretty annoyed. Like, I understand we're not going to get answers about every single thing under the sun. Like, I don't
Right.
have that expectation. But you made the answers to both Pit Girl and the Antler Queen so relatively obvious that if we're not going to dive into any of the really weird stuff, then it does just sort of feel like you have been playing with us and kind of being like, we're going to make you guys think of all these crazy things, but really it's not that clever. And then it's just going to feel like a waste of time. And I'm just going to be like, you guys intentionally set us up for nothing. And then I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, Yellowjackets writers, don't play with your food.
Yeah.
Like we want it to be more complicated and have these bigger surprises. That's why for me that hunt
Yeah.
was so well done. I did not expect the stuff with Natalie. I
Yeah.
didn't think that everyone was going to have different agendas of what they were going to use this hunt for, that not that many people were actually there for the hunt, but were actually trying to figure out other things, with Lottie in the cave and
Yeah.
Jen trying to give her friend a chance, and Natalie's here, and they're switching clothes. There was so much that was going on, and it made it made the whole reveal that it's Mari
Yeah.
a little more palatable because it felt like it was going to be Mari, but I did not expect any of the rest of that. That moment that Shauna was like, bring me her hair and had it all attached to the whole like Antler Queen garb. I did not expect that either. I think a lot of us were looking at the Antler Queen and sort of some of that hair that was on there and thinking like, okay, who has long brown hair? Who could this be?
Yeah.
It's Mari's hair. Like, it was so disturbing.
It really messed me up. And I say this, if anybody is going to be like, bring me your hair, it's going to be me. I don't have any. Shauna, you have a great head of hair. It was just, no, that
It's
really,
just a humiliation
it
power.
really was. And it was so messed up that we got to that level. But I think that's really the point of a lot of we're seeing at this point is that Shauna, to sort of create this perfect bridge between what's happening in the past and what we see, as you described, the Breaking Bad monologue in the present, is just how much Shauna is enjoying this in the past to the point where she likes all of this regalia, all of this like fanciness that comes with being this terrible warrior in the past.
Yeah, she's just like, I was a queen, I was a god, I was everything. I could do anything. People would do anything I say that, I'm gonna send somebody to prepare Mari and bring me her hair. Like, people could easily say no and have a fight with Shauna over that.
Yeah.
Or they can just do whatever Shauna wants because everyone is afraid of her.
Yeah.
Because she will back up what she says. And while there's other people there that will back up some of what they say, nobody there backs up what they say like Shauna does. She will do exactly what is going to come to you, and that is terrifying. And she is that same terrifying person now. That monologue that she gave, 10 out of 10. I love that she just completely owned it. I was doing it because I liked it. I was a queen. I should still be a queen now. I have like let that go to be like a mother and a wife and like have this normal life. I don't want that. I never wanted that. I want to be a queen still. And because some of these people are still in my life, I can still be a queen over them, and I'm going to.
I am fascinated by where that's going to go, just like I'm fascinated to now that she's got the full headdress and everything. These rescue people are going to show up at some point, and we know that it took Natalie doing this in secret to make it happen. Obviously, they get out, but what happens around the time that they get out, and also who else could be lost in that process? Because there's still multiple people, and I know we know Melissa's alive in the present now, but we don't know about Akila. We know that
Jen.
Yeah, like, we know that Jen and Hannah go at some point, but it's like, well, when do they go? But how do they go? Like, is some of this tied to the rescue itself?
Do we know that they go? This is the thing about it, right? Like, after Melissa's like, oh, I faked my death. I'm kind of like,
yeah.
Okay, who else has done this? Like, has anyone else done this? Just because they said Jen's dead doesn't mean that she is. They told us Melissa was dead too, and surprise, egg on our face. She's not dead.
No, it's true. It's true. It's like I'm not in a rush to wrap up everything in the past with the rescue and all of that, but I recognize this is where the show is going. It's probably going to happen at some point in season 4. As long as I get a couple more answers on some questions I have, I'll be okay with it.
Okay, I'm going to put on my beef.
All right, let's do it.
Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
I love you. You're so great.
Yes.
I really, really do. You need to be off this show now. You needed to be off this show last season. Like, you needed to no longer be on this show. That needed to be wrapped up last season, even coming up to the end of last season. There was so much of it that just... you don't need to be there anymore. For the entirety of this season, there was no reason for him to be on the show anymore, except that he's Elijah Wood and many of us really like him as an actor.
Yeah.
But the point of him and his storyline, all of those things could have been done without him. Misty could have gotten that DNA from one of her many other love interests that could have given her that information. She never needed Walter for anything. And so it's very frustrating, especially with the whole, like, how did Walter not make the connection that Callie could have had something to do with Lottie's death. There's a picture of her on the phone, and he's got the DNA, and he did not make that connection at all. That doesn't make any sense to me. Having him show up at the end where Misty and Ty are like, yeah, Shauna's got to go. Yeah, I agree. Let's kill Shauna. Having him sit outside, I'm like, why?
Okay.
Why?
Elijah Wood, we'll have a conversation here because you know very well that I love you. You may or may not know
Love
that
him.
I dressed up as a hobbit to see Return of the King at
You
midnight.
did.
I living on the edge, like we said earlier. Like, no,
Yes.
I adore you. Unless there's a really good reason for you to still be on this show, yeah, I think your story can be wrapped up because
Yeah.
I have tried my best to tinfoil hat Elijah Wood for the past, I don't know, 2 years now, and sort of thinking, okay, are you a secret family member to one of the Yellowjackets? Do you have an ulterior motive? And I still want to buy into some of this just because it would justify your continued existence. But now that we have had the most straightforward explanation possible for the Antler Queen and Pit Girl, I'm pretty worried that there's just going to be some straightforward, well, he really is.
Just a psychopath.
Yeah, just the psychopath. And then it's like, okay, well, we're kind of wasting our time here when we could be sort of diving more into the other Yellowjackets, like the actual Yellowjackets and what really matters to a lot of them. I hope that you guys have a plan for Elijah Wood. Please don't waste this man's talent.
Yes, this might be, Elijah Wood is the theories we made along the way, that it is just like Pit Girl, where we have a really fun time being like, is he a relative of Adam? Is he Melissa's brother? Is he Melissa? There's all kinds of theories that have been out about Walter this season. But there's still zero connection to him and anyone at this point. But him sitting outside the restaurant watching these two talk, I was just like, there has to be some sort of a deeper meaning. Like, why does he care this deeply? Is it just that he's obsessed with Misty and that is it?
Maybe, but that's not that exciting.
Bruh,
I just want,
come on.
I want something more. But okay, since you referenced it, we'll get into, all right, we know who took out Lottie, and it was Callie. Now, I'm not going to give the show as much grief about this because I do think this was a legitimate mystery for a while. And,
sure.
We both felt like it was Callie, but I don't think that this was like super, super obvious. It's just there were some seeds that were planted even before this past episode. I think once we got to this past episode and we had the scene with Misty and the phone, then it started to become a little bit more clear that, yeah, it was Callie, but the question still was, okay, why did Callie meet up with her? What was going on here? And once again, I'll give them credit for, yeah, the twist was something we saw coming, but the very specific parts of it, I did not see coming. Like, I did not think that this was related to the tape and that Lottie took the tape and that's why Callie ended up going to see her.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been kind of joking around here at the channel about like Yellowjackets, the next generation, that it's going to be the kids that are now the next bunch of Yellowjackets spinoff, like the boys in Gen V.
Yeah.
And then here we kind of are with Lottie, who steals the tape to lure Callie out to basically be like, you're the child that is chosen. You are one of us. You are the child of the wilderness. I'm like, oh, they actually went there with that. We was just kind of kidding about that.
Yeah, we were kind of kidding, Lottie. And also, Lottie, Callie, I know that Shauna lost a baby out in the wilderness. And I know that there is like that sort of connective tissue that you might be making here. But Callie is also like significantly younger than when the Yellowjackets got back. It feels like your typical brand of supernatural gobbledygook here, Lottie. Like, you are really stretching it with this thing to the point where Callie's heard a lot. And Callie's seen a lot at this point. Even she is just like, whoa, 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 Lottie. Now you're talking a little bit too crazy, even for me.
I like that Callie keeps calling it an accident when it was not an accident at all. She straight pushed her down those stairs. That was not an accident. No. But the fact that she is playing it as an accident so that obviously she doesn't get picked up for murder. I mean, it's the only way you can really play it. But that scene with her and Jeff where she comes home and she's like, Dad, This is what's happened. And he just keeps repeating, it was an accident. It was an accident. You know, I feel really crappy that I have dropped the ball as your parent, that you are now at this spot that you think that your mother's actions have been brought into you and that you think you're this terrible person. I should have taken you out of here a long time ago, and I should have been a more responsible parent when I saw that your mom was unraveling. I wanted to keep us together as a family, but that was not the right thing for you. So even though, you know, we both love your mom, I'm going to be a dad and I'm going to be a parent. I'm going to step up and I'm going to get you out of here because you don't have to go down this same road. And it was an accident. Seeing the look on Callie's face where she knows it wasn't an accident, but she really seems to want to do good.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that Jeff can actually get her out of there and save her? It's the whole sort of nurture nature deal. What do you guys think? Can Callie be saved? Or are we going to have Yellowjackets, the next generation spinoff?
Okay. First and foremost, you better believe Showtime's probably already thinking about that because they love spin-offs. There are 200 Yellowstone spin-offs at this point, slash prequels, slash whatever.
Listen, nobody enjoyed watching Harrison on Dexter New Blood. The spin-offs with the children don't work.
No, we don't need it, but I want to believe that this can work because, yeah, I know Jeff is no saint. Jeff has done some not great things, but I am also, as a potentially founding member of the hashtag Jeff Hive, I believe that Jeff can turn it around.
Anybody can, yes.
Anybody can, but I also feel like Jeff, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, Jeff can be well-meaning, and I think Jeff really does care for Callie. I just love Jeff so much. Jeff may be I don't want to say he's my favorite character in Yellowjackets, but he's at least in the top 3 for me. He's so weird and flawed, but also has this capacity to really care for his daughter, and he's kind of goofy, but it just feels like Jeff now is trying to be full Papa Bear Jeff, because I think he is really opening his eyes, especially after everything that Callie went through. It's like, okay, Shauna is really, really bad, and Shauna's done some really bad things, and Shauna is now impacting my daughter, so we're just going to get away. And I don't know how long that's gonna last, where Callie and Jeff are just gonna be in hiding in season 4.
Well, here's the thing. I know at first Shauna was like, oh, where is everybody? Oh my God, I need to find them. But the minute that she actually saw that Melissa did send a letter, what was in it was exactly what Melissa said was in it. And that Jeff was like, hey, just give us some time. You need to let us be on our own. That was the moment that Shauna was just like, I'm the queen. I should have never been, I just relegated myself to being mom and wife. I'm better than that. She doesn't want these things, which works out for Callie and Jeff, who shouldn't be part of that. If Shauna just wants to be Walter White, they need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, they do. And that's why I do obviously want to see Callie and Jeff again at some point on Yellowjackets. But if they're gone for an episode or two at the start of 4th season, I'm more than fine with that. The person who cannot be gone at the start of season 4 is Melissa, because 2 episodes.
I know.
That's all we have for Hilary Swank. With all of the hype, all of the buildup, she just took out Van, and she is not even in the finale.
In the wind, like the wilderness. We don't know where she is or what is going on, but she clearly would have to be back for season 4. They need to wrap that up in some way. If for some reason they don't have Hilary Swank on the docket to be back next season, they have to have some sort of oh, she got run over by a truck. And if you do that, I'm going to be so mad.
I feel like it. I think she's probably going to be back as a series regular, just because you did take out 2 other very prominent cast members this season, and adult Lottie, adult Van. I would presume you're a big corporation. You have the money to pay Hilary Swank, even if it's just for 1 season. We did a video about who's going to be the last one standing. I don't think it's going to be Melissa. You can bring her back for a season just to kill her off at the end of the season, and then that's going to be just fine.
I will say that it was nice to see young Lottie with adult Lottie. We didn't get the plane scene, which I would have liked to have seen, but at least we sort of had something there.
Yeah.
But lastly, let's talk about this plot to kill Shauna.
Yes.
Because Ty and Misty have never really been close. I mean, to be fair, Misty hasn't really been close with anybody, but the 2 of them are really not close. But now that Van has been killed, I thought that Ty was going to be like, Melissa, you're done, man. The minute
Yeah.
I find you, it's over. But that's not the case. Ty's like, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for Shauna. And it's the same back in the wilderness. Shauna's responsible for a lot of it. Here, Shauna is responsible for a lot of it. And Ty just wants to deal with Shauna at this point. And because Misty's had a really bad relationship with her this season, Misty's on board. Now,
Yeah.
I've been saying that Misty will probably be the last one standing because she's not the person that's going to want to take out her friends. She feels a bond with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the buildup between her and Shauna not being friends was really well established this season.
It was. And if there is somebody that Misty would take out, it probably would be Shauna at this point.
Yes.
But I think there's also the thing that she'll want to please want to please Ty, and she wants to make Ty feel really good about her decision, that she's making the right decision regarding, the aftermath of losing Van. Now we'll talk about, how mature Natalie was in the past and sort of figuring all this out. I mean, yeah, we did see some pretty wildernessy stuff from Ty in this episode after losing Van. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but she did have a level of real sort of emotional maturity and sort of sitting back and recognizing that Shauna was the real problem. It's so easy to just be like, I want immediate revenge, eye for an eye, you took out the person I love. But I think she probably is able to take a step back and be like, okay, this happened for Melissa because Melissa felt threatened in this moment. This is how we connect all the dots. That doesn't mean that she likes Melissa by any means and she wants Melissa to go off and live some happy life. But yeah, I think the real story push for season 4, this idea of, okay, now we're going to watch Ty, we're going to watch Misty kind of figure out how to take out Shauna if Shauna is really going to be like, I'm the queen and preparing for it. Like, that's an exciting proposition.
Well, here's the thing too. I know that this show has originally been like, oh, we'd like 5 seasons. Okay, lots of shows would like 5 seasons. But at this point, I'm kind of like, is there 5 seasons in the tank? Like, if they're about to get rescued, and let's say they do get rescued next season, now there's nothing in the wilderness for season 5. If there's nothing in the past with the girls in the wilderness for season 5, that's going to be a real disappointing season for me because the most exciting stuff for me is in the past.
Yeah.
And the present for the last half of the season. But in general, the stuff in the present is not nearly as exciting as what is happening in the past.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to justify it if they do 5 seasons. And I say this as somebody who gets honestly pretty annoyed with how much conversation there is now about, oh, every show needs to just be 2 or 3 seasons and that's it, because I just feel like I like watching things for many, many, many years. I don't need things to be rushed. But yeah, with this show, I don't want things to be rushed, but you can't have a season 5 of everybody just like twiddling their thumbs or us watching like in the still past, but the aftermath of the wilderness, people's trying to adjust to regular life again. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it's not as interesting as Lord of the Flies. Like, come on.
Yeah, and also there's only like 4 Yellowjackets in the present right now. One of them's in the wind, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we only have these 3 people, and Shauna is going to be off on her own being a queen. So it's going to be Shauna on her own, Misty and Ty trying to kill her, and who knows where Melissa is anymore. Like, we need to bring more Yellowjackets into the present if the present storyline is going to continue on.
Yeah, we
And they need to get rid of Walter. I'm sorry, Elijah. You know I love you.
Yeah, we all love you. Now, do we just cast other Lord of the Rings cast members in his place? So we'll figure that out down the road. But I mean, the last thing we can say here, looking ahead, is that we're on the other side of the writers, the actor strikes in 2023. Yes. Hopefully, we're not going to have as long a wait for season 4 as we did for season 3, but it's going to be down to a lot of different factors. But let's all just be optimistic. Hope for good things. I think this season in totality is much better than season 2. I think season 1
way better.
Yeah, like season 1's still the best in my opinion, and it's going to be really hard to top that. But my beefs aside, I'm really happy with how this finale ended, and we'll see where things go from here. Yeah. What did you guys think of the finale? Where do you think it's going to go? Let us know in the comments and hit that subscribe button. And you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We're covering exclusively there, The Pit, Bosch Legacy. Thank you so much. We'll see you here next time.